You are listening to Punisher Waterfowls, the Union 0430 podcast. Brought to you by Real Geese Silhouette Decoys, the most technologically advanced silhouette decoys on the market, and these other fine brands. Pit Boss Waterfowl, ducks, dogs, and decoys. Canadian Waterfowl Supply, Canada's #1 source for all your waterfowl needs. And Rig 'em Right, heavily seasoned.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Union 0430 podcast. This is episode 260, and we've got Ryan from Pattern Pros on with us tonight, and the fucking chirping has already begun. The chirping started yesterday at around 11 o'clock in the morning when you called me, and right out of your mouth, hey, how about that hockey game, eh? I was like, you motherfucker, right off the bat. Never, wouldn't even hey, Damien, how are you? How's things? It was right salt to the wound right off the bat. So the chirps are already started, and there's no dude about it. We're going to get into it tonight. So if you're watching, yes, he's here. Phil is here. He's been away for a while, so I'm sure he's going to bless us with all kinds of wisdom, because him and Ryan are already talking about a bunch of rifle shit.
Here's some wisdom. Kids, when you want to get older and you're looking at a job, become a firefighter.
There you go.
It may not pay, but you can grow a sweet mustache.
Well, that, and you can have like ice cream and movies with your best friends at sleepovers every night. You're always well fed. Everyone likes you.
Yeah, nobody ever gets mad at firefighters.
No one ever spits at firefighters or shoots at them.
Most of the time, no.
No, most of it.
Anyway.
We do deal with a lot of dumb people, though.
Buddy, that's why some of us have jobs.
No, it's job security for sure.
Yeah.
It is.
It's kind of like the funeral industry.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. We are off to a good start tonight. I can tell.
Full send.
Craig is here. Phil's here. Ryan's here. I'm here. This is going to be a great show. Ryan's got a bunch of stuff he wants to talk about. We've got some other stuff that we want to talk about. Of course, we're going to be all over the place and down some rabbit holes. And Craig will always chime in and blow our socks off with some brainiac question. And then hopefully Ryan and his box of crayons are sharp enough that he can answer it. So, buddy, thank you. Thanks for the call yesterday, actually, and reaching out, because every couple months or so we reach out and we reconnect or whatever. So I appreciate you calling yesterday, and having a chat. And then, of course, that led to, hey, why don't you come on the show tomorrow? I don't have a guest.
Yeah, it worked out great. Plus, I always like to hear, somebody who talks just like other veterans, but just, with a slight accent.
Yeah, there you go. a slight accent. Just
broken
all right,
English.
So we'll kick this off, because this show will drop on Monday, which is whatever the date is. I think that'll be like the 7th or the 8th or something like that.
9.
Either way, today I put a post up on social media today, where I had asked Jimmy Muller from Muller Chokes to give me an explanation on why shotgun pattern density changes in a higher elevation. Now, and I got to give the backstory on this. So when I had sent that video to Craig and Phil to see before I posted it, Phil sort of said, yeah, like elevation affects it. And I said, well, I knew it would for a rifle, but I didn't think it would for a shotgun, because that's just the way my brain was thinking. And after I was thinking about it, while I know that it would affect a rifle, it didn't affect, or I never made any changes to my personal weapon when I was in Afghanistan, which Ryan then was about to go down a rabbit hole. So over to you, Ryan, and then let's kick it off right off the bat with this.
First Question: what did Jimmy say? How did the elevation affect the pattern?
So he's saying because the air is thinner, there's not as much friction resistance in the shot traveling through the air.
I'm guessing that's more a less dense of a pattern. Would make sense to me.
No.
He was saying it was the opposite.
It's the opposite. Your pattern will stay tighter because there's no friction.
Yeah, he was saying
that's
open.
Science. I don't know.
He was saying to open up the choke that you were using.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now I wonder about. So I'll ask this, and then I'll go to what we were about to talk about. What about the temperature? Is the temperature? Do you say anything about temperature? Like if it's super cold, is your powder gonna work as well? Because that's something we talked about when we were doing mountain warfare training.
Yeah.
Something to do with I can't remember exactly what it was, but
he did mention temperature only in that in a certain range, because he said anything under like 3,000 feet.
Yeah.
You don't really have to worry about it. 3,000 to like 4 or something like that. He said it could be impacted, and I think that's where he said temperature would come into play there. And he said anything over 4,000, the thinner air just has its own impact. He didn't say anything about temperature beyond that.
Because one thing that he said was that if you're at 3,000 feet, there's not much difference between 3,000 feet and sea level, from the way I understood that he said it, right? It's when you get above the 3,000 feet.
3,000 is the benchmark. And then when it comes to burn rates, like I know this more from rifle shooting, like I was into reloading and ballistics and all that other voodoo. But relative humidity and ambient air temperature will affect burn rates on gun.
So that goes into what I was about to say, before we started recording. So it was actually a Canadian that used to hold the longest kill shot of all time, and I can't remember his name.
Mm-hmm.
He was using the TAC 50. I remember him talking about it, and like the whole ordeal. And he was thinking about trying to get a little bit of extra distance because of how far some of these targets were popping out at. And he was literally taking his rounds and setting on top of his bag to get hotter in the sun.
Really?
Yeah. I will for whatever reason, I'll never, like, I used to watch the hell out of History Channel, but.
Well, it's either that or you're smoking meat, right?
Yeah.
So right now, I just brought it up on Google. It doesn't give his name. I remember his name because I remember in my circles his name was released. But right now, he set in June of 2017, he set a record of 3,540 meters. So that's about 2.2 miles.
That was in Iraq, though. I think the one I was thinking about was in Afghanistan.
Okay.
It was like
dude. Oh, the early thousands. Yeah, that dude. Actually, that dude was he was from Newfoundland, from my home province.
Lord,
yeah, but there's a lot of. Yeah, he went to work in for a police organization in Western Canada, and things sort of kind of fell off.
They probably didn't let him shoot people from a mile and a half away.
Yeah, no, not at all. But I know for the Iraq one, the one in 2017, like they had to take into account the curvature of the earth on that one.
Coriolis effect.
Ooh,
yeah.
Jesus.
The actual movement of the earth.
Yeah.
Like the original records were Aaron Perry and Rob Furlong.
Rob Furlong is the newfie.
Now Rob, doesn't Rob pulled? Doesn't he have like a sniper school out west, like Alberta?
I think
he might.
Hey, but we all know who the greatest sniper of all time was, though, right?
Chris Kyle.
No.
What?
And even Chris Kyle would have said
no. It was that old dude in Vietnam, right?
Carlos Hathcock, the white feather.
Yeah, that fucker. I read the thing on him. Like they said, he was out like 3 weeks. Like
it was 3 days of him crawling. I read his book. It was him crawling through grass with North Vietnamese patrols within like almost stepping on him. And he finally got the shot. I don't remember how far the shot was. I don't think it was too crazy far. But when he shot, everybody turned and ran and started shooting into the tree line opposite direction of him because they thought there's no way that anybody would be in the grass. But it took
Really?
him 3 days by himself, low crawling, to kill that guy.
Listen, I was in
Cojones.
It's not only cojones. There's a point when you're doing something and you just go, fuck this, I'm doing it now. I'm not waiting any longer. And he didn't. He just held out, waited for the perfect moment. I, on the other hand, would probably have lasted half a day and then said, I am not hanging out here anymore. This is too scary. I'm pulling the trigger now and I'm getting the fuck out of here.
He's in the jungle too. That's the
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
I've been in the jungle enough now. I would be like, if they were like, hey, you have to go back to war and it's in the jungle, I'd be like, firebomb the whole place. Just napalm the entire, every inch. Like, nope. That's the worst. Oh, God.
I couldn't even imagine. I never done anything in the jungle. So, yeah, I bet. Ryan, buddy, Pattern Pros is, right from the very first time you guys came on the show when it was you, Christian, and Brody, that would have been 2-3 years ago to, our last update when you were on and to now. Like, I know what's going on because we sort of kind of stay in touch every couple months, but from talk us through your initial idea of what you guys wanted to provide as a service to where you are now and what you're providing and what you're trying to provide, if you can even talk about it, because I can't remember if you said that's full blown and ready to go out the door yet or not. But just talk us through how much you've grown over the last couple years on an idea that was a simple idea, but nobody has ever fucking thought about it.
Brody had called me, I want to say it was like October of 22. I've been out of the Corps for, I think, a year and a half. He bought a new gun, and he called me. He was just pissed off. He's like, I bought a new gun, cut open a box of shells, and I went pattern them. He's like, they sucked. Absolutely. They just, like, no way am I taking them hunting. So it's like, well, what are you going to do now? You got 2 boxes of shells with, 23 shells in them, or 20, whatever the heck it is. And so, not going to sell them. Like, you're just going to sit in your shelf and collect dust probably. And I was like, well, hey, what can we do about this? Let's come to a solution. And I don't know if it was me or him, but it was, hey, what if we put more than one kind of shell in a single box? And I was like, dude, is there anything like that? And I mean, he was raised duck hunting. Like I wasn't a hunter until, really until college.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, I don't think so. And so, talked to some friends and family over the next day or so. And I think I called him like the next night and I was like, dude, let's freaking do this. I was like, there's nothing like it.
Mm-hmm.
So, we started the process of doing all kinds of, surveys and just talking to people. And then we start kind of talking to, ammo companies, talk to the ATF to make sure that we were good. It was like, all right, like, I think we're good. So what we came up with was 8 different shells, with 3 of each in one box. So 24 shells in a box, essentially, just one shell shy of a standard box. And it just allows you to try out so many more shells, without spending a ton of money than you could before. If money's no object and you want to do it the expensive way, sure, I guess go for it. But it allows you to try all those shells out. And the more I've thought about things, it's not just the pattern. So you are going to, all those shells are out of every gun and choke. There's so many different combinations. They're all going to pattern differently. But the thing that a lot of people don't think about is that shell actually going to cycle? So yes, you may get that first shot off, but for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the brass or if it maybe, that doesn't have, it's a gas gun or whatever it is, and it doesn't cycle. You could have the world's greatest pattern, but you're not getting, nobody wants a semi-automatic that you got to freaking rack around
it.
in.
Yeah.
Like we're shooting freaking blanks in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Semi-automatic turned into racking it every time.
Yeah.
And so I think in June of that year, that was 20, I don't know, what year is it now?
2026, buddy.
So 23, it was, hey, we did we launched it in June, like officially, and then June of that year, we actually came out with a website. So there's nothing else out there like it. So when we tell people what we're doing, they all pretty much have the same look. You're like, kind of like a little taken back, like, you're doing what?
Yeah.
And you're like, damn, like, why didn't I think of that? Or, hey, we talked about it. And I'm like, well, you get 3 Marines together that we like to shoot stuff and we don't have any freaking money.
Yeah.
So might as well make the most of it. But yeah, so that's what we started with was waterfowl. And then that following February, we came out with turkey packs. Turkey hunters love to pattern their guns. And so that came out with, that's 5 shells with 1 of each, still allowing you to try out, a bunch. Obviously those are typically a lot more expensive, especially with, current TSS prices, which are getting even higher. It's pretty much astronomical. But this year for 2026, we'll have several different new things. We'll have an upland pack. So it's going to be, we'll have an option for dove loads and then for pheasant loads as well. So I think those will do well. And then rifle ammunition. So it's the same thing. Phil, I'm sure you can attest to this. Certain rounds don't, they're not going to shoot well out of certain guns.
I've seen the same with shotguns.
Yeah, it's like I actually had somebody, a customer, message me just 20 minutes ago. He had our lead pack, and at 30 yards, every single shell is different. It's just nothing different other than the shell, and you're getting different patterns. You're getting a couple that you're like, damn, those are pretty good, and then others you're like he might die, but that's not what I'm pulling the trigger for. I want him dead right there.
That's right.
But so the rifle stuff will be coming out at some point, probably here in the next 6 months. Same thing with the upland pack.
Okay.
And then the thing that I'm most excited for, but is going to cause some headaches, is actually a choke tube rental pack. So that's going to be 3 choke tubes of the same constriction. We'll send it to you for, there'll be like a little rental fee. You'll get a certain amount of time period, shoot it, whatever one shoots best for you. You'll buy that from us, add it, we'll give you a discount from retail, and then you'll send us back the other 2, and right then and there, that you've got the right shell, the right choke for your setup, and there's no reason to change.
Yeah. No more experimentation needed.
Nope, none.
Like, it's funny.
It'll be a one-stop shop.
It's funny, like, how much we stress the importance of patterning, and like, it's one of the things that I like drive into people's skulls, like the importance of patterning. And like, I went out and did a big patterning thing a couple years ago. So at the time, I just bought a brand new Benelli Ethos Cordoba in 20 gauge, and it had a 28-inch barrel, and I had one of the old school M2s in 20 gauge with a 26-inch barrel. And I went out, and I think I had 4 or 5 different non-tox loads, like straight steel, the stack loads, bismuth, what have you. And I think I ran 4 or 5 different chokes. And obviously both barrels are threaded the same. The only difference is one's 28, one's 26. And I ran all those loads through all those chokes, and like I was running the chokes through both guns. So like I gassed like 2 boxes of ammo But like, so I do all my patterning at 35 yards. That's my number. It's 35.
Mm-hmm.
And I had some loads where like there was stuff I was already using in existence, like a particular gun, choke, and load, and I'd be using it on like geese and stuff. I'm like, man, like this works great, like working amazing. And then when I finally actually put this stuff on paper, I'm like, oh, well, I don't like that. And I had patterns, buddy. I was afraid to put the pictures on social media. And then I found like the one bread and butter, like load and whatever, and like stuff's dying at 40 yards. And I mean dying, not dropping, dying.
Dead.
Like lights out. I will weld that choke into the gun.
People, unfortunately, I don't know if it's just because there's so many options now. People with guns and chokes, they just say it's like they go to the most expensive option first. That's when they think they need to spend their money, and they're like, "Well, hey, I went out and got a $1,200 shotgun or whatever the heck they are now," and they just immediately go take it hunting. It's like, you spent all that money, like,
Yeah.
what? Figure out like what happens when you pull the freaking trigger. Like
anything under 20 yards is going to be dead. We know that.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, but the thing is, the other thing with that, and you guys tell me what you feel about this line of thinking though. So you just bought a new shotgun, you take it out of the box, you hold it, you shoulder it, you fall in love with it, you pick your choke tube, you pick your ammo, and the next day you're going out into the duck blind. Well, have you cleaned the packing grease off it? Like, have you put it together? Like, is it put together properly? Have you even test fired it to make sure the friggin' thing is working? It's not just the patterning. I know it's important, but you're buying a brand new firearm. Like, I know dudes that literally take it out of the box and shove it in their gun sleeve, and out they go hunt.
It's like my first gun, first gun I ever got when my dad bought it for me from Canadian Tire. It was the old Maverick 88, which is what I named the dog after. The thing was a piece of shit from day one, but the first hunt, opening day, it's same thing. I was 15 or something, 15, 16 at the time. Just got this thing for Christmas, and now it's the first season of taking it out. Same thing, out of the box, took it out to the blind, opening morning, thing won't fire. There was a problem with them with the spring on the safety. The safety, you couldn't release it. So yeah, it's like if you're not going to find that out until opening day if you're not taking it out of the box and giving it a try and we're trying to do something with it to understand it or make sure it's going to work, make sure you know what you're doing with it.
Yeah, so I think going along with Phil and Ryan's, you gotta pattern it, and I'm sure someone's gonna go, okay, sure, yeah, if it's a brand new gun, yeah, of course you're gonna take it and put it together and remove the packing grease and make sure. But the thing has been sitting in your gun safe for 8 months after the last season. If you're anything, because I'm not a dude that spends a lot of time cleaning my guns. Despite my military background, I never was. Even when I was in the Army, I didn't spend a lot of time cleaning my guns, especially the 223 to 556, right? Like I didn't spend a lot of time because those guns operate best with a little bit of dirt in them, and that was the way I always operated, right? But I still will, before opening day, I will go put a couple rounds down, put a couple shot shells through it just to make sure that everything is still good to go and it's working. Do you know what I mean?
I told this story a bunch. Luckily, mine and Christian's friendship, really, all the stupid, funny stuff happens to him. So it's great for me. So he catches hell for it. A few years ago, we were getting ready to go to some buddies in Arkansas. And so he got a brand new Winchester XX 420 gauge. A lot of people really love the gun.
Mm-hmm.
And he was here, and so we took one of our 20 gauge packs to go pattern it. And he wanted to shoot. So typically, with 3 shells, we tell people, hey, it's best to shoot at 20, 30, and 40 yards. That's what we recommend. Christian being different, he wanted to shoot at 25 yards, whatever. And I like to shoot from a tripod. That way I know I'm not flinching, I'm not moving. It is the gun's solid. So he shoots his first shell, and we walk down range, and I'm like, well, that one ain't it. That one sucked. And walk back, and bam, same. Walk down. I'm like, dude, really another crappy one? Like bad, like atrocious. And we do this with 5 or 6 shells, and I was like, all right, something's wrong. Stop shooting. Like there's an issue here. So in that instance there, it was the choke. So he just had the factory modified, which a lot of the time, like, there's no issues with. Factory modified will shoot just fine.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go spend, $80, $90, $100 on a choke tube. But he went and got a choke tube, I think the next day, but he would have had to been 15 yards and in to effectively kill what he would shoot. I mean, it was
Wow.
It was so, like, at 25 yards, he was missing everything.
He was wiping out a flock of teal.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think it was so bad that, somehow I would have missed every single teal out of a group of 1,000. Like, it was just like he may as well have been shooting blanks, which we've always joked about doing to him. Or one with confetti, which I think would be even funnier.
Especially out of his dick gun, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. For anybody, hasn't heard that story, we Cerakoted dicks on the Christian's gun. So we're like, Brody worked for a gun company at the time, and Christian had left his gun. And we were up at our family was up at his family's place in North Carolina, and we had shot some geese, and he put his gun in my wife's car and we were at his wife's family farm. I don't know why he did that. But she had driven separate. So we went back to his place, cleaned the geese, and I left like an hour later, and I get home and I walk in our mud room, and I see this gun case and with a gun sticking out of it. And I'm like, hey babe, like where did this come from? And she goes, oh, it was in my car. And I was like, that's not mine. I called him. I was like, hey dude, where's your shotgun? I don't know. And I'm like, well, you need to come down here in a few months and go turkey hunting because I've got it.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, all right, well, whatever. I call Brody the next day to tell him this, and he goes, dude, send me his freaking gun. And so I take it apart, and you can send the stock and the grip separate. It's not serialized or so I had a perfect box. I threw it in wrapped some towels around it, and took it to the post office and sent it to him within an hour of Brody telling me this, because he's like, dude, I've got this excellent stencil that needs to happen. So he had dicks stenciled with a professional Cerakote machine all over his gun.
That's awesome.
He just has dicks all over his gun. So we're super mature. Yeah. And so so there's just dicks everywhere. But it looks super professional.
It does.
So there's 3. Yeah, Damien, he's seen it. He's held it in person.
Yeah.
I don't know how you hold it not in person, but anyways. So he's just always thinking about holding dicks, I guess. So he's got 3 on there that are strategic. There's like one underneath the grip that's coming back at him, quite literally. There's one right where his cheek weld goes, and then there's one right where his right hand goes. Like it's quite perfect. The gun, it shoots great. It's honestly a great gun.
It's a straight shooter.
Well, the funny thing about that was when I seen it, and you guys were telling me about it, and Christian's wife was there, your wife was there, and I didn't really know how I could or how I should act around the news.
Yeah.
And then your wife just looked at me and she was like, do you see all the dicks on it? And and I was like, yes, I see all the dicks. She was like, don't mind me. She was like, I'm a little bit crazy or whatever like that. And I was like, no, it's good. I just didn't know how I was going to navigate this. And she was like, but you seen all the dicks, right? And I was like, yeah, I totally seen all the dicks.
She knows how we are when we get around each other. It's like she said it to me before, where it's like when I was I was in California. We had a couple buddies from my unit over, and we were having a few beers and having a fire. And she just looked at me like, you guys are animals when you get around each other. Like, we don't even think about it. It's just like, we're just act like absolute idiots. Like a perfect example was, a couple years ago when Christian was still living in Florida. We had the fam down there, and, my wife and his wife are like best friends as well. And, we get a babysitter and we go to this restaurant, and it's literally like it is on the water. And so us being, little kids, essentially, we were like looking down, we're like, oh, look at all the fish. So then we start throwing bread or food or whatever, and the fish go crazy, and then the birds go crazy, and they're almost coming through the plastic hole into the freaking restaurant. And him and I are literally crying, laughing, like just giggling like absolute morons. And we couldn't stop. And our wives, apparently they were pissed.
And
we weren't like, we'd had like 2 beers, like we weren't doing anything crazy, but it was just they was like, this is supposed to be date night, and you two are idiots over there like throwing food into the freaking water at the birds and fish. And I was like, it was funny.
Yeah.
So now we're business owners,
and now now we're business. Now we deal with firearms and ammunition. So, no, but
let me. You used to play with explosives. Like I used to just run around that, all the time. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I was a kid, I'd take cherry bombs and put them in the windows of dinky cars and light them.
That's good stuff there. I just put them in piles of dog crap.
And this is where YouTube shuts us down, because we're telling kids how to blow up dog shit and dinky cars. No, it's awesome, man. And, Ryan, I don't want to take away and get too far off topic with Pattern Pros and you getting a chance to tell about all the things that's coming up. But it's refreshing. When we started this podcast, one of the biggest things and Phil was, part of that original crew when we started it. One of the biggest things we wanted to do was to keep the chatter what it would be like if you were in the duck blind. And we have a ton of guests on, and your episode 260, and we've had a pile of guests on, and I tell you, I love all the guests that we have, but sometimes just having another cop or another military person or someone along those lines on the show, it really brings it down to what the banter would be like if we were sharing a blind, because it's just stupidity, right? And so a good friend of ours, mine, Craig and Phil's, Steve Segulik. So anyway, Steve just had become a police officer, and we're up and we're hanging out with him and stuff like this. And Craig was there the night before his badging ceremony and this whole thing. And Steve's girlfriend had looked and said, "You boys are so mean to one another." And I'm like, yeah, horrible. But I think that, but it's normal. But behind our buddy's back, we would say things like, "What a fucking good dude that dude is. He's such a great dude." But meanwhile, to his face, you just cut him up.
It's like, girls like, do I look fat? Oh, of course not. And then with guys, do I look fat? Dude, I know like 5 fat people and you're 4 of them.
Yeah.
So last year, Chris and I were going to a small show up in North Carolina, not far from his house. And we woke up, and on our way there, we stopped, and, I went through some fast food drive through, and
Uh-oh. Is it me?
What?
It's me, isn't it?
No.
Is it me that's freezing up, boys?
Everything's good on this end.
Okay. There was
Whiskey you had.
no, my screen froze. So okay. Either way, go.
So we're going through this fast food drive-through, and we get up to the window, and so our window's down, their window's open, and I don't remember what it was, but I think we were just kind of cussing each other out. And as we drove away, I looked at him and I was like, she must think we absolutely hate each other.
Yeah.
It was just like the things that were coming out of our mouth. It was like,
yeah,
maybe we should wait till the window's open or shut.
yeah,
It's the same thing. Anytime, I'll be driving or he'll be driving or Brody, and they're like going through a drive-through. They're like, they know to put the other person on mute because
right.
you're just like, I cannot trust you.
Yeah.
To whatever comes out of your mouth.
Yeah. I want to get back to and this will be a multi-staged question, and we'll start with this. So, if somebody orders an ammunition pack from you guys right now, what are the ammunitions that they're getting? What are the brands that they're getting?
I mean, hell, you probably see somewhat behind me. I mean, but there is pretty much every single brand out there. I think Rio is like the only one that we don't. But I mean, we'll have Boss, we'll have Kent, Federal, Murders, which is the Bass Pro brand, Heavy, Chester Apex, Shot Shell, and Flight Day Ammunition, Fatties. So a couple smaller companies. Let's see what else we have.
Rogue's another one.
Migra. We don't have Rogue yet. They came out with their, I think it was an all sixes load. I haven't looked to see if they've expanded upon that.
Okay.
So like for our packs, we keep it shot size specific, like per pack.
Okay.
Pack 1, it'll have these 8 brands, and it's all shot size number 2. But you've got some of those that are the stack loads. So you'll have, if it's a shot size 2, we'll try and have like Migra, they're 2-3 stack, and then we'll have in the number 3 pack, it'll be all shot size number 3, but then it'll be the Migra 2-4, the Kent Fast Steel Plus,
right,
or the Federal stack load. So we try and keep it as universal as possible. I know more people, shot shell companies are going away from light payloads and high speeds. Everything used to be an ounce and an eighth, 1500, in that ballpark. And a lot of guys now are going to, 1300 feet per second with an ounce and 3/8, which typically produces better patterns. And you're getting quite a bit more BBs actually in that shell. Not saying you can't have a phenomenal pattern at a high speed. So, like Winchester dry lock, I can't remember the speed on there, but I want to say that's like 1400. And then like Migra, that's a much faster one. It's I think 1515 feet per second, and they're 2-4 stack shot. Awesome for me. So it's just, again, it all goes back to whatever shell that you're set up light. There's just so many factors that I just you don't really know until you actually go pull the trigger and actually see what's happening on paper.
Right.
And that's not like Jimmy Muller had said it. He's like, hey, don't just put it on paper. Like that's a starting point.
Right.
Like I'm paraphrasing here, but him and I have talked about it. It's like, start there, and then, but you need to go test it. Go take it hunting. For whatever reason, maybe that it's shell pattern well, but you just I don't know. It doesn't. You're like, it didn't knock him dead.
Well, there was something that Jimmy said on this show before, and Craig and Phil, you guys probably remember it because you're better at that stuff than what I am. But he was saying that, what you see on paper, because it's a 2-dimensional pattern, right?
Talking about shot strength.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's what it
then
was.
when it comes to a 3D duck that's flying, it's not going to be the same, right?
Yeah, what he was saying is that paper's not showing you when those pellets hit that. Whereas that's what he was saying. It was like you could be hitting it all at one time and hitting it hard,
Right.
or it's going to be stretched out, and some pellets are hitting now and some pellets are hitting later.
Yeah, like as that duck's flying and your shot's coming, like it could very well only be the front half of your shot string that hits the bird.
Right.
Because that bird keeps going and then the rest of your shot string's coming in. And that stuff's going through the tail feathers or beyond, right? You got
right.
I thought about this quite a bit. And they say, hey, a long shot string is bad just because it, less rounds are hitting that target all at the same time. But I've thought about it on the other end of it, where if your lead was incorrect, you had your lead was too much. You needed a 2-foot lead compared to a 1 foot or whatever, whatever.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Now the longer shot string is actually going to help you
a little more forgiving,
because if it was a super short shot string, it will have already passed through that area by the time the duck gets there. Whereas if you get that long shot string, it's going to hit it'll hit the duck somewhere in the farther part of that shot string. And honestly, I don't know how much that matters. That is happening so quick that I don't know. I think you might be splitting hairs at that point. If you want to go down to that, I'm sure Jimmy's a hell of a lot smarter than I am. He's been doing this for a lot longer, but I don't know. I think some of it is you start to split hairs.
And that's a good point, because I wonder. So, and Craig, Phil, chime in on this, and I'm going to pose this question to you. So, if we want a shorter shot string because we're hunting ducks, right? So we put our lead on it. We want as many pellets as we can hitting that bird at the one time, right? So that's the logic. You want a shorter shot string so that as many pellets go in. But if we're shooting now, let's take away blue-winged teal that's coming in at Mach 5. If we're shooting at mallards that's coming over decoys, do we need to focus on that shot string as much as if we are in competitive skeet shooting? Because I think with Jimmy's extremely knowledgeable and is a hunter and is a what's that?
It's like a scientist.
He is a scientist. But I wonder, does that shot string, like you're saying, Ryan, are we splitting hairs here? Is it more is it a bigger deal in competition skeet shooting as opposed to hunting? Because at 25, 30 yards, if birds are decoying for you, then I'm not sure that really matters. That's just Damien's
they're decoying
little
like
tiny
right
brain.
in your face.
Yeah, if they're coming at you, then that everything's it's all hitting it anyways. Also, at the same time, like if your BB is coming out there at 1,400 plus feet per second, like that's happening so quick.
Yeah,
I think it was Joel Strickland. I think it was last year, year before. He got that super slow mo camera, and I watched it because he had a whole patterning series.
Yeah,
and you could see the shot string of however many different shells that he put through it. But it's like, all right, even with that 1,000 frames a second camera, like it still is not happening slow. It just
right.
But and then maybe for geese, maybe it matters more because they're so much bigger. and you're really got to freaking put a hurting on them if you're not hitting them in the head or neck. But
yeah, if you any bird, if they're decoying straight into you and they're going slow and they've got their wings locked, it's not gonna. It's that pass shooting, or if you're out for divers or something, they're screaming across right to left or something like that. Then having that longer shot string could be a little more forgiving and help you in those sort of margins. And like to go back to what you're saying as far as testing it out, paper. And I brought this up, I think, when Jimmy was on. I did a whole bunch of patterning the one time, and I found the one shell that had the best pattern. I went out on a hunt and wasn't knocking anything down. So I still had multiple boxes because I just shot a handful of each, and now I've got all these boxes of shells sitting there. So I still had my second best pattern of shells with me. So I popped those in, and then I was knocking the birds down. So again, that second best shot had a bit of a hole in the pattern, but it was the shell that was actually hitting the birds good and knocking them down. Whereas that other one, no holes in the pattern, but it couldn't kill the birds at the same distance.
What are you thinking, Philly?
Well, a lot of it's got to, there's so many variables. We could be here for days. Obviously, shot style situation, like if you hunt in timber, shot string doesn't matter shit in timber. You're shooting them at 10 yards in the face, right? Guys are killing birds at 410s. You look at the videos that Jeff Coates puts out, like these guys are shooting big sea ducks and they're hard as nails to kill. And you're poking, like you're 35, 40, maybe touching 45 yards. So obviously, and it's all passing. So it's all left to right to left. So
I got to pause you there and ask you this question, Phil. So let's take Jeff Coates for example, right? So he's got the swell that his hunters have got to
the boat's
take into account for, right? And all that stuff. So then a longer, like what Craig is saying, your longer your shot string, that would be a better benefit for you in that situation, I would think, would it not?
It could.
For hitting birds, but then the opposite end of that is, well, now you may be hitting them, but are you just crippling them and now you're chasing them?
Now you got to kill the damn thing. It's like shooting buffaloes. It's 1 to drop it and 2 to kill it.
Yeah, it seems like I haven't done a sea duck. I haven't done a sea duck hunt yet, but I've watched enough of those where they're like, it hits the water and you're like, keep shooting, like the damn thing's still keep shooting. Like they just bam, bam, bam.
I am not nearly rich enough to sea duck hunt because the amount of ammo, like, dude, I am telling you, I have, and I'm confident enough, and I'm not this type of fella that's going to say I'm an awesome shot or anything like that. But I'm going to tell you, I went out with Jaden Banks last fall, and we were on Lake Erie, and I was wounding birds. And then, as they're on the water and you're just trying to finish them off, and I'm just like pumping load shell after shell after shell, trying to kill this bird. And it's just not possible. Like it's a different, I think it's one of the hard, which is a lot of the reason why I don't do it. It's like one of the hardest fucking things to do is these sea ducks. Like they're just, and divers, they're horrible.
My biggest thing is density kills. And I've always been an advocate.
Explain density kill.
Smaller shot size, tighter patterns. So this past season, all the duck hunting I did, 1 gun, 1 choke, 1 load. It was 20 gauge 6s. And was just flat out lacing birds. I did a layout hunt with my buddy Dom a year or 2 ago.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't last season, maybe the season before, I think. Yeah, like a year and a half ago. And I'm like, you know what? Just for shits and giggles, I'm going to leave the 12 gauge at home. Give this the old college try. So I was running my 20 gauge with a Rob Roberts T2 and shooting stacked 4x6 loads on bluebills and redheads out of a layout boat, and was flat out just stoning them. And like I've always been a firm believer, like, you gotta, like, at least me, gotta run the 12 gauge on divers. I'm like, you know what? Let's just try something different, and just dead as a doorknob.
So that's one of the things I started to say it earlier, but heavier payloads, slower speeds, and guys are going up in shot size. I feel like you just talked about
density kills.
So my buddy, he owns Salt Creek Ammo.
Yep.
One of the ammo companies I completely just whiffed on mentioning earlier. Um, he's there in Utah, and he went up to Idaho, and they were shooting. They're killing some mallards, but a lot of goldeneye.
Okay.
And so he had, obviously, clearly shooting his own shells.
Mm-hmm.
And he had number sixes. And he goes, dude, like the sixes were smoking the mallards, but with the goldeneye, he goes, it was struggle. The sixes were struggling a little bit with the goldeneye.
Okay.
Um, I could knock him down, but like after that, it was super difficult. Um, to effectively kill. Obviously, he still killed plenty, but he said it was noticeable enough, like that he had to switch it up. He went back to his. I think you shooting threes or four. I think he went back to his threes and was like, as soon as I went back to the threes, the golden eyes died quick because he's still doing the heavy payload and slow speed. But um, it's definitely. I think when I first kind of started duck hunting, it seemed like I really didn't like fours. But that was, now, we talk about things are changing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
where you're able to get tighter patterns out of steel than you traditionally had. So whereas I'm taking a 3 over a 4 every day of the week, but now with these heavier payloads, you're like, it's kind of like the 9 mil versus 45 debate.
Right.
You're like, I will take a 45 or a 9 mil, round around every day of the week. However,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take, you know, 14 9 mil rounds compared to your 7 45. And so getting all of those things combined, it's, the game is definitely changing, which is, I find to be really cool, especially with how much time I spend staring at shotgun shells. Um,
What about this? Do you think, and maybe this isn't the right term to use, but do you think that maybe there's a placebo effect here? And maybe that's the wrong term, but because everybody, and Phil, you're a prime example of sub gauge, right? Like you're not a dude that says I got to shoot a 12 gauge. You would, if you could shoot a 410, you would be shooting a 410.
Probably.
So because now you're starting to see more of the big names, more of the big hunters, the big influencers, I'll use, and I know that's the wrong term for them, but now that they're using the stack loads of 4 and 6 and dropping down to a 20 gauge or a 28 gauge, do you think now that has changed the perception? I don't think there's been, and I could be totally fucking wrong here, I don't think there's been that much of a change in the ammunition. Maybe it's just a change in people going, well, if Phil can knock them down with 6s with a 20, why can't I knock them down with 6s and a 20? So is it more of fellas are just like, well, fuck, maybe I don't need a 12 gauge with, like I've got a buddy that will not shoot anything other than hypersonic 3.5-inch shells. Like that's what he shoots.
Man.
And swears by them.
I think some of it is probably on the marketing side.
Right.
Because they're like, well, damn, like, so and so, Miger came out with the 2.4, they had the stack, and then it's like, now you're seeing, now there's there's the Kent, and then there's frickin' Federal, there's a heavy 2.4. I've seen a Winchester Super X, 2.3.
Okay.
So it's starting. It's like, hey, they're doing it. Like, we're gonna go ahead and throw our hat in the ring. Because maybe somebody they've always shot Winchesters, or they've always
Right.
shot whatever the heck, and then somebody else comes out with a different shell, and they're, oh, I'm gonna try that, and I don't know. I think some of it's marketing.
Yeah. How about this question for you? 10 years ago, I would say that in my ammunition locker, which is an open shelf in my garage, I had a bunch of double B.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't shot double B at geese, I bet you, in 6-7 years, easy, because number twos, and I'm talking late season honkers. I can knock down late season honkers with number twos. I don't need double Bs. So like and I think this plays into that. So what you're saying, the marketing, but also into the fact that, well, if somebody else is knocking them down with number twos, I should be able to knock them down with number twos. Like, I don't know the last time I bought double B ammunition. Like Craig,
Yeah.
Phil, Ryan, do you guys shoot double B?
Only because I'm still using it up. I still have a
Right.
bunch. And
Yeah,
like, I'm
but you're not
finally
going
almost
to the store and buying it.
No. And then I think too, like you were saying, like it's still leftover from when steel or when lead was first out. Like once they got rid of lead and we had to go to steel, everybody, the answer right away was like, well, you need to go up a size, and like up in size, not number wise, but like just bigger
Yeah.
shot. And that was what we were told when it happened. And that's what
Right.
everybody did for the longest time. And yeah, I think I started trying the sixes when you guys had brought it up with Challenger a few years ago. Like I bought a couple boxes of the six from Dave and tried that. And, but yeah, I think it's just still trying to get rid of that old information, right? Like like I've talked about it before, where everybody always, you get the old information that is passed down and everybody, treats it like gospel. And it's like, but you got to spend a few minutes to really think if that information is valuable. And I think like now, like you said, we're just getting beyond that. And people are saying things like slow it down, go to a smaller size. And it's now
Jimmy
people are
Muller
seeing
is
success
saying
with
that
it.
Jimmy Muller is saying you need to be
Yeah.
around 1,300 feet per second.
And it's hard up here because it's,
Yeah.
you're talking about, you were just saying, Damien, where it's like ammo hasn't changed a whole lot. Well, especially not up here because we don't have,
Right.
have the companies available. We don't have the product available. And even those speeds, like with guys like Jimmy, like pushing for lower speeds, we can't even get that here. Like you
Right.
can't find those unless you're going down to
Philly?
20 gauge or something.
The only time I shoot BBs is during this week of goose. That's it.
Right.
It's
Right.
the only time my
J-
12 gauge fucking leaves the safe.
Right. I just, I just think, along with everything else, and this is all, like, I'm talking on, I'm not, we say this all the time, we're not experts, and don't take anything I say as gospel. I'm just going off of what I've seen personally and what I've done personally. Like, what I'm shooting now compared to 10 years ago is not even remotely close. Because like, you can ask Mark Vitch. If Mark Vitch was on there, like, I was the guy that if there was a 4-inch shell made, I was buying it.
Why
Because
do you
I
shoot 3.5s?
just-
Because they don't make
Yeah.
4-inch.
That's right. Like, I was shooting 3.5 inch. Yeah. That's what I says. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I do believe that there's a little bit of, like, look at this. How's this for a look for you, boys?
Putting out the vibe.
Yeah, that's the George. Because I call that the Constanza. No, but I do think that there's a little bit of, it plays into your mental game, right? Like this short, like, I look over at at all my ammo now. I think the largest size I have right now is number 2. And I don't even know the last time I shot number 2. Like, it's usually number 4s. Usually.
Like all of it, it's just so much. Like you can take all the outside information, but you got to try it out. You got to do your own trial and error. Because even like, I think it was Jimmy himself was like, he's not a fan of the stacked loads. Whereas, Phil's talking about shooting these 4s and 6s, and it's probably the same ones I've been shooting the last 2 seasons. Absolutely love them. Like I've used 2 brands of stacked, like 4s and 6s, and with multiple guns, multiple chokes, and have loved them. But I've tried the stacked loads for, like, BB and 2s and shit like that, the larger ones, and I can't hit a goddamn thing. but you get into the 4s and 6s. But like, again, some people swear by the stacks. Some say they're garbage.
I've yet to shoot a stacked load.
Yeah, like I've tried Federal and Kent's 4x6s and loved them both.
Mm-hmm.
And but again, like you just, everything's different. You're like, every person's different. Every set of equipment's different. All you can do is take all the information that's out there and just try it out, see what's going to work for you.
This is one of the things that my just really trying to change within the waterfowling world is so many people don't pattern their guns. So like when we're at the Delta shows, I talk to thousands of freaking people, and I'm like, hey, you pattern your gun? I'm like, well, my turkey gun. I'm like, what about your duck gun? I'm like, well, all right, well, a turkey's freaking standing still.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 99% of the time that you're trying to take a shot, or barely walking. A duck, you get a little green wing teal or something that it's zinging through there at 30 miles an hour. Like you got to be on your freaking game. Like you need to know what happens when you actually go pull the trigger. And it's like you get up super early. You get up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And, if you got a boat, you're taking your, $10,000 boat out there and your $1,000 waders and your $2,000 plus worth of decoys and your $1,000 worth of calls. And it's like, damn, like you have missed out on the thing that's supposed to happen, prior to the hunt is honing in what needs to happen when you pull the trigger. So if you're going to go hunt with a rifle, or you're going to go hunt with a bow, you're going to do any kind of big game hunting, you are going to shoot your rifle, you're going to shoot your bow, you're going to know what is going to, where that round's going to hit, where that arrow's going to hit. And the fact that so many guys don't with their duck gun is really disconcerting.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating to see so many of these people at these shows. It's whatever, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, dude, like I'm not trying to just like, you have to buy my shit. It's just like, dude, just go figure out what's actually going to happen. One, you are going to understand what's going to happen when you pull the trigger. It's going to show you what happens at different distances. So, that's one reason why we put 3 shells in there. So you shoot 20, 30, and 40 yards. Every time I've done it and seen people do it, you'll have, even at 20 yards, you're like, that shell, a couple of those shells aren't going to be it. You move back to the 30-yard line, sure enough, a couple of those have fallen off and a couple more. So you get back to the 40-yard line and, 2 more fall off, 1 or 2 more fall off. And then you're left with 2 or 3 that are clearly your best. And the other thing that it does is, one reason I like for people to shoot at 40 yards, people don't understand how far 40 yards are. The Marine Corps absolutely tore me up. Like my body freaking hurts. My eyes are still like God has blessed me with phenomenal vision. Like I can see very well. And we do targets. We make our own targets, just 3 foot by 3 foot, which is another thing that people mess up on, is they're shooting at tiny little targets, which don't give you the full picture. But in the middle of that target is a 1-inch black dot, probably about the same size as a green wing teal's head. When you go back to 40 yards, it will really, you're like, damn, like that's a long ways. And I think so many times guys think that it's a lot farther than it is. Or, oh, dude, it was 50 yards. And I'm like, probably freaking not, dude. Like I'm not saying, that's not always the case, but I would say most of the time people are overestimating how far they're shooting.
100%.
So it's a, we all had to do hunter safety. And, I remember everybody I've ever talked to, with the hunter safety, they're like, we talked about, it's important to pattern your gun, but they don't, you don't do it. And it's kind of breezed over. Hey, you should pattern your gun. All right. Well, that's another thing we're trying to change is to get that into hunters' education of actually going out and patterning a shotgun, because it'll get people started in the very beginning of their hunting career, understanding that, hey, this is important and it will really make a difference between you being successful and you being very, very, very frustrated.
Well, it's a good, like, that's a good topic. So really you're trying to change the mentality around this patterning of your, like, so I guess a lot of people, the diehard, I shouldn't say the diehards, but there is a group of people that for years have been saying, listen, you need to pattern your gun. You need to know what that density looks like. And that's fallen on deaf ears to a lot of people, right?
Well, you also
But
need to
now
ID what you shoot first too, but we know how far that's gone.
yeah. But what you're saying, Ryan, is that you guys are really, and you really are the very first and only group of people that are really pushing, and your brand, your entire model revolves around patterning your gun and ensuring that you know exactly what's going to happen when you pull the trigger. Now, obviously there's environmental factors and there's all kinds of bullshit that gets added in there, but you guys are really forcing this. Listen, and you just touched on it. $20,000 boat, $1,000 worth of decoys, $2,000 shotgun, $2,000 dog. You've spent all this money and done all this prep work to be ready for opening day, and the one thing that you need to do in order to drop the bird, you're not ensuring that that's going to happen. It doesn't make sense. I agree with you.
Yeah, it's it can be frustrating talking to some of these people. I talked to the guy last or year and a half ago when we went to the Easton, Maryland show, and it was the worst attitude I'd ever heard. He's like, yeah, coyotes got to eat too, or something along the lines. And I was like,
Yeah,
I didn't say anything to it, but I was just like, dude,
right.
like, you are like, that is one of the worst things I've ever heard when it comes to the, you know,
the reasoning. Yeah.
Yeah. And all it's going to do, patterning your shotgun, all you're going to do is be more successful. Like, I guarantee you go figure out a shell that works for you. All that's going to happen is you got some trigger time in, and when you go, you're actually going to, like, if you have opportunities, I can't put the ducks in your freaking lap. If you have those opportunities, all that's going to happen is you are going to be more successful.
Heaven forbid
the other thing
you bring home more birds than you normally would.
Exactly.
Like you're going from 2 to 5 or whatever.
Though some of the other things that I've thought about more and more is, one, you're going to start to actually save money because you're shooting that duck one time compared to 2, 3, 4 times. So yeah, you had to spend a little bit of money up front to go pattern your shotgun. God forbid you had to go outside and shoot a gun. Real rough. So now you're shooting less. You're killing more ducks. For me, the absolute biggest thing is you are crippling and wounding less ducks. Guys talk about bird numbers are down every single year. Well, if you stop crippling so many freaking ducks,
yeah.
So
Good point.
Let's say 1 million ducks are crippled every single year. I've heard a couple different figures. Let's just say 1 million ducks are crippled every single year.
I think that's an easy number to accept.
And my goal is, hey, if we can prevent 10% of that, if we get the majority of people that pattern their guns, you put 100,000 ducks back into the breeding population. Well, what's going to happen that next year? Well, those birds will have now bred. You're putting more into the breeding population, and more ducks are now coming south. Well, that's only going to compound every single year if you can put more ducks back into the breeding population. I've got kids. I want them to have more opportunities than what I've had. And then another thing that I've thought about more and more is, all right, if you're out there and you're shooting less, what that's doing to not only you and your group is it's everyone else that's hunting around you, because now you're only shooting once or twice, or, you know, 3, whatever it is, compared to, you got 4 guys and you're shooting freaking 12 times. You are quieting down your entire hunting area. And people love to talk about how pressured birds are. Well, when you got freaking Joe Schmo over there shooting an entire box of shells, that puts every bird
Yeah.
that you don't even know is
Yeah.
there, knows you're there.
Yeah.
And you are just creating such a more pressured environment the more and more and more you shoot. Whereas you and your group go in there, you're shooting significantly less. You're way more quiet. So you go in there, you bang out your limit. Let's say you have a great day. Hey, dude, we freaking banged out a limit in an hour. There's still plenty of birds in the area. Let's come back tomorrow morning and do it again. Whereas, hey, we spent 3 hours, we shot at every damn duck, and between the 4 of us, we shot 100 shells.
Mm-hmm.
How much more pressure is that putting on your area compared to, hey, we
100%.
shot 20 times, or whatever the hell the number would be. But there's just so many more factors that are added to your success once you start to become more successful. It's just like when I go deer hunting and I drop that freaking deer right where he's at. All right, bam, done. Whereas if I, have to track it, maybe I got to track for an hour, and you and whoever else you got to come track with you, you're going through all of these bedding areas, you're going through all these woods. Like, that area is, you're bumping everything out of there. So it's the same kind of concept where the less of a footprint you can leave in the area, the less pressure these birds are, and the more you can be successful, your buddies can be successful. And, even if you don't want, the assholes and, the next group down, because everyone is, every other group's an asshole, that they can even be more successful. But
Yeah.
there's just so many other things that start to really factor in once you start, you think about it.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
you want to be a successful hunter? Shoot bismuth. Because when it's costing you $3 and $4 per shot, you ain't gonna miss. You ain't taking them pokes.
Hey, good point. Well, and Pat Hendricks said that to me. He switched to Kent Bismuth a couple years ago, and Pat Hendricks told me, he said, "Listen, I don't get out very often anymore." He said, "When I pull the trigger, I want to make sure my bird drops, and I'm not out there to just be dumping shells. So I'm a lot more pickier with my shot, and when I shoot, I'm fairly certain the bird is going to drop." So, great points, boys. I think we're over the hour. I'm not wearing my glasses, so I can't see the time. But I believe we're over our 60-minute mark. So we'll tidy this one up. But great conversation, and just more reason to have Ryan come back on. Ryan, I will, before we start the round table, I will give you a little bit of time. If there was something that you wanted to talk about with regards to Pattern Pros, you've got, take all the time you want. But if there's something you want to talk about, here's your time to talk about it, buddy.
No, honestly, I think we hit on a lot. But the things that we have coming out, it's going to be continue to get easier. We're going to continue to have more options to allow people to find exactly what they're looking for. And actually, I think it was yesterday, it was yesterday. Dan, I think you and I were just I think we were on the phone. I just launched something new for the turkey side of it. So guys are constantly asking, hey, can I mix and match, packs, and, I want this shell, and this shell. And so we've got all our stuff that's already, I buy all the ammo and then I package it up in our boxes. But, so what came out yesterday was, it's a custom. So you'll still take, 5 different shells with, one of each, but you'll have, I think we have 12 different options for 12 gauge TSS. So that's just, something different, that came out yesterday. A lot of people have been asking me about it. But there's so many big things that we have coming. I mean, I've got all our upland ammo here at my feet. I've got a handful of these choke tubes, so it's going to continue to become easier to truly be more successful. And there's still a couple other things that one other thing for sure that's coming out this year that I can't quite talk about yet. Still waiting on that to be finalized, which I'm excited for. But I'm telling you, like it does make a difference. Like, yeah,
Okay.
it costs a little bit of money, whether you buy my stuff or you want to go buy whatever off the shelf. But it truly does make a difference, and you're only going to become more successful. You're going to become kind of a better steward of the land. But I'm unbelievably excited for what we have coming up. I know the rifle stuff is I've been asked about that for a number of years now, and so that's finally coming to fruition. But yeah, it's I can't wait for a year from now. Like this company, there's
That's
gonna be a
awesome.
lot. It's been a lot more work. It's been a lot of stress. But it's been a blast. So it's yeah, boys, I'm excited for it. Turkey season, youth weekend is here in just over 3 weeks, so freaking can't wait for that. Got a picture of a big old gobbler, but just a couple hours ago, so I'm ready for it. And yeah, if you want to look out for us, Facebook is Pattern Pros USA, Instagram is Pattern Pros, the website is patternprosusa.com. Reach out to us on either one of those social medias or scroll all the way down on the website, and my phone number's there. So I've got my schedule allows me to be off more, something that Christian resents. No,
And Philly is building a fucking remark for right now.
so
I do okay.
I'm always I'm available fairly often to talk, just because my schedule. Christian hates it because I was putting up a tree stand earlier. He's like, "What the hell? Do you do anything else other than stuff like?" Out? I was like, "I mean, yeah, I do all kinds of other stuff, but no, other than
Save
that,
little old ladies. It was awesome.
yeah. So no, I'm other than that. I think we hit on all kinds of stuff. We had a great conversation, and and as always, Canadian hockey sucks compared to America. So
you'll go fuck yourself. I'll deal with you. I'll deal with you on the last word. Craig, to you, buddy.
Ryan, it was cool hearing what you guys have going on and your insights on things. And I think to kind of touch on one of the things you said about trying to get it, starting it back at Hunter's Education. So I think the whole patterning thing, it hasn't been ingrained in everybody that's what you do. It's just kind of one of those things where it's something that, oh, maybe I should do it. It's not part of like the standard process for a lot of people. So I think it's becoming more and more common, and hopefully it continues on. And it sucks. I wish we could order from you guys up here. It'd be pretty handy up here. But
maybe Donnie too will make you guys the 51st state. So
oh Jesus, here we go. All right,
no, it's good talking to you, man.
Let's get Ryan to fuck off here. Like seriously, Philly to you, my man.
It's great having you on, Ryan. Again, like what you guys are doing, it's an amazing concept. Again, like in the long run, like yeah, you're paying up front, but in the long run, you're saving money. And I was going to ask this question, but then you kind of already quasi answered it. But like maybe looking, if again, I don't know what your guys' plans are business wise down the future, but maybe looking into custom variety packs for your waterfowl, like someone being able to like you have 10 different 20 different options, and like you know what, I'm going to pick out these, I guess it's what, 8 times 3, I want these 24. 8, and then whatever, right? Just food for thought. But
yeah, that's something that's been talked about, and maybe eventually we'll get there once we kind of expand a little bit more. But that's a little harder, just because that's a lot more time consuming with putting 24 shells in one box.
Yeah, your hand packaging stuff.
I slap slap 5 shells in a box in a minute.
And imagine then there's a potential that you get stuck with certain, like you might get a whole pile of stuff that nobody wants, and now it's sitting there. And
Look, yeah.
Hey, man, Ryan, last words to you, my man. You motherfucker. I swear to God, I'll get you. Don't you worry.
I knew it was coming. Boys, thanks so much for having me on. This was a freaking blast. Honestly, I needed this. I did. So this was great.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to end it on this. We are the Duck Factory. Everything comes from us and makes its way down south. We are on top. You're on bottom. And I'm going to end it at that, motherfucker. Now, buddy, honest to God, I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate you reaching out. I appreciate you updating me on what you guys are doing. And I'm honored to call you a friend, and I'm honored to have you come on the show. I really do love what you guys are doing, and I will be ordering a pack from you, and I'm going to do it probably tomorrow because I just crossed over the border 2 days ago, and I had asked them about bringing ammo across and everything. Even though I read it, I wanted to ask the guys and girls at the border, and they told me, don't worry about it. You can bring ammo across. You're going to pay the taxes, which whatever, right? You're never going to escape taxes. So they were like, you're good. Come in. All you got to do is declare, yeah, I've got X number of shotgun shells, and they'll write it up. You go in, you pay your taxes, and you're good to go. So for me, being a somewhat of a border town, it's easy for me. I can jump across, I can grab it, and then I can come back. Anyways, buddy, I appreciate you. I appreciate Christian. I appreciate everything that you're doing, and I cannot thank you enough for coming on and having a good time with us and having a chat. Big love. Everybody, this was episode 260 of the Union 0430. We are not experts. We'll never pretend to be. Go Canada, go. Yeah, I'm leaving it at that. Big love.